Right, hello everybody, welcome to the Adam Clery football channel. Adam Clery, obviously, and my plan for today's video, right, was either Chelsea starting to look like title challengers, Liverpool finally getting their act together, Manchester City humiliating Man United, or Man United having another one of those, like, false dawn good results against the top side. But obviously, none of that happened, did it? So instead, let's have a look at what the is wrong with Aston Villa. Now, just really quickly before we start, right, a reminder that we have launched, and this is very exciting for me, channel memberships. Now, obviously, we're going to have a very slickly produced, incredibly sexy, video talking you through exactly what that means in due course. But the headlines, the very short version, is that the channel remains exactly the same. Nothing is changing. We're taking nothing away, but we're going to add lots of fun, exciting, new things at a membership level, like exclusive videos, exclusive live streams, like a live chat thing, more community sort of stuff over there if you want that. But we'll talk more about that later. Right now, it's Villa, because this is not going well. So the first thing you have to remember is that Aston Villa are genuinely one of the Premier League's elite sides. Were it not for a freak result / actual robbery on the last game of the season, they would be playing Barcelona this week and not Newcastle. And that is coming from a Newcastle fan. But instead, they sit 19th in the table on 2 points, which is obviously not like a massive deal after only 4 games. But the real cause for concern is this bit here: 0 goals. They are the only team in the top 7 divisions of English football yet to find the back of the net. That is like 150, 160 clubs. That is an insane thing. So what we're looking at here is whether or not this is an actual problem with actual causes and possibly even actual solutions, or it's just a bit of bad luck. And not to spoil the rest of the video for you, pals, right? But it's an actual problem, yeah. Now, we are going to get very nerdy and very in-depth to look at exactly what it is that's going on with Aston Villa this season, but I just want to illustrate very quickly why this should not be getting just brushed off as too early in the season to worry about. Villa had what looked like a really advantageous set of opening fixtures. Like, on paper, that is a real chance to set a market down, start well, get 9, maybe even 12 points, get some momentum before the fixture crunch of European and domestic cup start. But if you will take the logic that a good way to measure a team's progress, one way or the other, is to look at like-for-like fixtures across seasons, then it makes for some pretty grim reading. Last season, they battered Newcastle at home, they beat Brentford away, they drew with Crystal Palace, and then they won at Everton. That is 10 points across those 4 games, scoring 8 goals. But now, obviously, it's only 2 points and 0 goals scored. So even if they were to click their fingers, steady the ship, and just sort of revert to type, they're already 8 points behind where they were with the same fixtures last season. And again, obviously, this is very imperfect logic, but Aston Villa, 8 points down, is nowhere near the European places. It would put them like 9th or 10th. Or, to put that another way, just to get back to where they want to be, they now have to somehow find 3 new wins in amongst all of these bad results. And if you look at them, other than maybe like Ipswich here or Wolves, they didn't have a lot of glaringly bad results. There's not a lot of wrongs they can really right. But that, obviously, is a future problem. And the present one is very much that they have not scored a single goal. Just for a really quick bit of balance, though, right? The problem is not that they've suddenly become a bad team. 4 goals conceded is fine. It's the same as Liverpool. It's the same as Manchester City. If you look at the other teams that are down that part of the table and are probably going to stay down that part of the table, Villa are, defensively speaking, a total outlier there. So that does bode well, but obviously, the goals.
I was going to, kick it up the other end and just put one right in there. Goal hole, but no dice.
So then, what actually is the problem here? Well, if you're not scoring any goals, one of 2 things tends to be wrong, right? Either you're being wasteful in front of goal and you are not taking your chances, or you are not even creating any chances. And this is, and you may just have to trust me here, one of those areas where XG suddenly becomes really, really useful. Because if we rank the league by shots, Villa aren't great, but they're clearly doing something. They've had more than Palace, who've started really well, more than Sunderland, who've hit the ground running. Not great, not where they'd want to be, but that's okay. And they're also still controlling games pretty well. You rank the league by possession, and Villa are pretty much exactly where they'd want to be there. They're fifth. They're seeing about as much of the ball as their game plan tells you they should. But then you have a little look at the XG, and as well as being your dad's favourite thing to call woke nonsense when he's watching Match of the Day, measures the alleged quality of the chances you are having. Villa, on a per 90 minutes basis, so just game by game, are currently posting relegation numbers there. Like 0.7 per 90 is less than Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester managed last season. And while, yes, we have to keep this in mind, it is only 4 games, those are 4 games where you would make them marginal, if not massive, favourites. The numbers say they should probably have scored like 3 goals by now, so there is obviously an element of bad finishing. But given they're clearly creating some chances and having a decent number of attempts, the disparity between their position here and their position here tells you, as clear as Christmas, that the problem is that they are not creating good chances. So let us have a little look at why that is, right? So Aston Villa, at their absolute best, are a team who specialise in baiting the opposition on, playing through their press and then exploiting the space that leaves in behind. They almost always play a 4-2-3-1, but the idea is you end up with a front 5 where one of the fullbacks gets up in support, then you shuffle into a back 3 and you have this 3-2 base. These lads are all very comfortable having the ball at the back, and when you try and take it off them, they find one of these two somewhere in the middle of the pitch, they get turned and then they feed any of these 5 players either wide or through the middle, and that is how they attack you. But the problem is they have been doing that since more or less the day Emery took over, and they're still doing that now. So we got this example from the Bournemouth game last season, right? They've got the ball at the back, they've moved from the 4 into this 3-2. That is their in-possession shape. Now, if I remember rightly, this is quite late in the game. They made a number of substitutions. John McGinn is on the right, Ian Maatsen is on the left. They are part of that forward 5. They've just both dropped deep to try and get the ball. So ignore them for now, right? Villa bait the opposition on. They find the first pass between the lines. They get turned and they're away. And when they get into the opposition half, look immediately at how wide this attack is. Leon Bailey's pulled out here. Maatsen's getting up into this space here. Bournemouth aren't sure what to do, and that indecision allows Rodgers to steam through the middle of them. They find Maatsen wide left. He crosses to Bailey outright. Barkley is the one who hooks it in, but even before that, look how they go from this position here to 6 players in the box. And the reason this works so well is because it manufactures space in 2 different ways. Like, first off, when you bait a press on, it creates little pockets of space in the midfield so you can find your players there. But then when you are attacking, your wide players are really wide, so it creates space in between the defenders. And you go back through the last 2 seasons, you'll see more of these chances and goals than you will be able to count. Like, make space here with the build-up, get into it with a ball to feet, get turned, stretch out the back line, and either go around them if they go narrow to protect the centre, or go through them if they spread out to mark the men. This is the Emery Villa goal TM. But if you fast forward to the games they've played this season, you are not seeing this. This is the scenario they were faced with from the very first minutes against Crystal Palace. Teams know better now than to commit players into pressuring that back line, and instead just look to cut off the passes into the middle, which is what allows them to get turned and start attacking up the pitch. That's been completely taken away from them. This is against Everton. There is 3 at the back. They have the 2 sitting in front, but Everton are not getting suckered in by putting pressure on the ball here. They're just making sure that it cannot go from here into here, and if it does, if they still find a way through, that whoever's receiving it can do naught but pass it back the way it came. You don't let them get it, and if you do, you don't let them turn. And they're still trying to do this, don't get me wrong. Now, this is about 12 minutes in to that game. McGinn does find a little pocket. He turns it around the corner first time, and then they try to get Watkins away through the middle. Dinier's trying to stretch them out on the left-hand side, but it's not effective. Teams are waiting for them to do it. They stop it at source, and if they can't, they react really well to it. And that is problem number one. But problem number two is this. Here, they finally get through Everton's mid-block and into the final third, and there are 5 attacking players, but what do you notice? You could throw a towel, admittedly, an enormous towel. It would have to be like 15, 20 yards across, but still, a towel over the options they have in the final third. Matty Cash is the width, but he's lagging well behind because he's coming up from fullback, so there's no pass out to the right. John McGinn, who could be there because he started on the right, has come in field because he wants to come in field. That's how he plays his football. Buendia, who started on the left, could be out on the left, but he has also come in field because he wants to come in field because that's how he plays his football. Watkins plays through the middle and Rodgers plays through the middle, so everything is just going through the middle, and thus Everton can be tighter than a cat's arse getting a fright in this situation because they've only got to worry about this space here, and they've got 4 players to do it. Against Crystal Palace, they tried Gesand and Marlin out wide, who are 2 players with the pace to stretch you out and cause a few more problems, but this is their entire combined contribution across those 90 minutes. And you might not even realize this looking at it. They're going this way. That is the direction of attack, and yet all they muster is one overhit cross that's just kept in play, and there's one ball in the box, but everything else from your 2 wide players is the short, backwards pass. And this little graphic, I should point out, also includes successful take-ons. You cannot see them because there are none. So what I'm trying to say is that this is not wide play that will trouble a Premier League defence, and this is not wide play at all. And so, back to the discovery we are trying to make here, teams are having a lot of joy just bogging Aston Villa down through the centre of the pitch. And if you are able to restrict a team in the only area they're really trying to attack, then you will massively restrict the quality of chances they're able to create. Hence, the quality of chances Aston Villa are creating being incredibly low, double hence the fact they haven't scored a single goal. And you might think, listening to all this is a big critique of the manager. He's allowed his tactics to go stale. Teams have figured him out, and he's not been inventive enough to come up with new ideas. But I actually have a lot of sympathy with both Villa and Emery here. And while losing Bailey and Diaby was not seen as a massive deal because neither of them were pulling up any trees, particularly in terms of numbers, they were genuine wide threats. Even if they weren't playing that well, you still couldn't leave them isolated one-on-one, and they still would be taking up really dangerous positions. Jacob Ramsey had a bit about him when he was out on the left. Marcus Rashford added a whole new dimension when he came in, and none of those 4 players are here now. Don't get me wrong, Jadon Sancho's potentially a very exciting signing. He'll go out on the left or possibly even on the right, but just like they've already got, will be doing so with an eye to moving into the centre of the pitch, so it doesn't solve that problem. Harvey Elliott's an unbelievable bit of business and can fill in anywhere you want him to, but also is at his best when he is at his centralist. Those are 2 signings for me that absolutely smack of who are the best players we can get in under the circumstances, not who are the best players we can get in for specifically what we need. And don't get me wrong, they're going to score goals eventually, like somewhere something's going to drop for somebody, but the underlying issue being that the chances being created are more often than not really, really bad, will not magically fix itself. They need to come up with new ways of breaking down the opposition, of making good opportunities for the players available. And that is the challenge to Aston Villa this season. Can they reinvent what it is they're doing without falling apart at the seams? So, yeah, like the bottom line here is 4 games into a season is no time to be panicking particularly, but having every single one of your attacking players fit and available and favourable fixtures and then still being about as threatening as a polite handshake is a major cause for concern, and they do have to address this. And That's it. That's the entire video. I await with bated breath to see what the Emery solution is, and look forward, Aston Villa fans, to producing a follow-up video called How Unai Emery Fixed Aston Villa. I'm rooting for you. Honest I am. And if you would like to watch that video, or indeed the equally plausible one next month about why it's still not working, you can click the subscribe button here, and I think the bell even does fun things for you, tells you when the videos go live, and you can get me across all the social medias at Adam Clery, Clery, where I work my darndest to ensure you don't miss a single video I publish, or indeed meal I eat. A reminder that our big, sexy, exciting channel memberships announcement, which includes stuff about merch, for those who've been asking for the better part of 6 months now, that'll be coming later, but you can just become one for the hell of it. It's really good. I'm intending to make it the best value subscription thing, membership service, available on the internet. I want you to feel like you are robbing us blind, and you will. But until next time though, Aston Villa fans, please let me know what you make of this whole mess in the comments below. Is there something I've missed? Is it just Ollie Watkins is really terrible? Do you actually think you played really well against Everton? Because I didn't, but I'd love to hear your opinions. Regardless, so get them down below, subscribe to the channel, follow all the stuff, maybe become a member if that's your thing. And I will see you later this week, I guess. This is my job. Goodbye.